Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? So, it is patch day at long last. Invaders From Beyond is with us, or at least it should be by the time this video goes up. So, grab yourselves a brew, put your feet up, because we're going to go through all of the changes in today's update. Okay then, so Invaders From Beyond is here. We're going to go through most of the big changes, go through them reasonably rapidly. Obviously, the second half of the video is going to be the bug fixes that are coming with this. It's a long old list, so strap yourself in for that one. If there's anything you want to look at in more detail, as always, I'll link the patch notes down below, so you can check those out yourself at your leisure if you'd like to. But, with all that out of the way, let's get cracking. Okay, Invaders From Beyond. Yeah, loving the splash screen for this. As always, Fallout's art is absolutely on point. It's been knocking it out of the park for quite a while now, Bethesda. The concept art's always been good, but nice to see the promotional artwork is absolutely brilliant as well. Love these new designs. So, our latest update for Fallout 76 launches today, bringing with it a new seasonal event, Fallout 76 Season 8, Fallout Worlds improvements, and more. Read on to catch the details. So, update highlights there, quick overview, and the patch sizes are ranging between 18.1 gigabytes at the largest on PlayStation, and at the smallest, 10 gigabytes on the nose for BethesdaNet. So, somewhere between those two, depending on your system. So, jump in and get that rolling. So, first up, new seasonal event. This is the titular part of the update, Invaders From Beyond. Mysterious beings from the outer reaches of space have arrived in our skies, and they're planning to steal the brainwaves from life forms throughout Appalachia. Band together with your fellow humans to take on the alien scum and send them fleeing back into their ships before they can complete their research. So yeah, good fun event this one. As I've mentioned in a few videos previously, I have tried this out on the PTS and thoroughly enjoyed it. It's cool. The rewards are pretty decent as well. As per, I'll link the PTS video up if you want to have a look at the ins and outs of it. And yeah, reward list is not spectacularly long, so hopefully Bethesda will update that again before too much longer, because I expect over the course of the next fortnight, which is how long the event is going to be here for, most of us will get through and get most of the rewards. But the big stuff, apart from a whole load of camp stuff, and the new Stein, obviously, is the weaponry that's coming with this one. So there's upgrades for the Alien Blaster, which is already in the game, but a whole load of new stuff and upgrades and plans and stuff for that. There's the Alien Disintegrator, which is the rifle version. Fans of Fallout 3's Mothership Satyr DLC will probably remember that one. I know I used to use it on occasion. Good fun weapon. That's making its way into 76, and upgrades modules for that, you know, the barrel and the receiver and all that stuff that we usually change. That's coming as well, and you get those plans from this event too. And then there is the Electro Enforcer as well, which is a one-handed melee weapon, which is also coming along with this event. So that's the big stuff, and as I say, a whole bunch of camp stuff as well. But every hour on the hour until the 15th of March, so 2 weeks, an alien mothership will materialize above one of 6 Appalachian landmarks to deploy 3 brainwave siphons in the area. Pro tip, if you get into this event really quickly, and I strongly recommend you try and do it at least once or twice, look straight up, because you get to see the mothership descending, and that is very, very cool. Obviously, if you take your time about getting there, it'll already be in place, but if you get the chance to see it, definitely worth a look, it's fun. So, travel to the mothership's location and examine Siphon Kappa to start the event. So that'll be marked on your HUD as per usual. When the event begins, work to destroy all 3 brainwave siphons, one after the other, before the aliens can complete their brainwave extraction process. So, in a nutshell, you trigger the first brainwave siphon to start the whole event proper. Then a force field will go up around brainwave siphons. You will have to defeat a number of enemies who beam down to defend them. In order to draw out the commander for each siphon, take down the commander so that the force field will drop and destroy the brainwave siphon. Then repeat the process for the second and the third ones. Defeat the final boss at the end of it. Jobs are good. And you'll get your rewards. The rewards are reasonably decent drop rates as well. It's like something like, well, there's a guaranteed rare reward if you complete the event with the highest tier, which is not too challenging to do, really, so it should be pretty good, this one. Definitely an improvement over some of the struggles I know a few people had with Fast Act, so that's always cool. If you manage to demolish all 3 brainwave siphons in time, you will receive some loot, XP, and have a chance to earn plans to craft new alien weaponry like the Disintegrator, Electro Enforcer, and some other bits as well as high-tech new camp objects. Some of them are not that high-tech, but they're cool anyway. There's a good bunch of decent stuff in this event, so well worth getting cracking on. keep your guard up, because as long as the seasonal event is live, you may encounter extraterrestrial interlopers at public events, including campfire tales, free range, and line in the sand. You may also spot our curious visitors in new random encounters that we're adding along with this update. So I've got it in my head that those 3 public events are the only ones they can appear in, but it could be 6. I've also got that number somewhere in the back of my brain. So the list might be longer than these 3, but yeah, as you're doing the public events, like ones with the exclamation mark, then keep an eye out, because you might have some alien beasties popping up as well. And yeah, there's also a whole sort of hidden story to this, which I'm not going to spoil for you, but yeah, if you do want to explore that and start it off, look for random encounters. So, you can come across... there's a super mutant random encounter who's clearly got PTSD from encountering a sheep squatch and stuff like that, or you might find some dead traders or something on the roads as you're wandering around. That sort of thing. Heck, Grams counts as a random encounter. Any of the spots those can appear, there's a chance that something relating to this update, particularly the seasonal event, will appear, and you can pursue that storyline from there. And yeah, that should at least point you in the right general direction without dropping spoilers on you. So I hope you have fun with it. So, moving on, Season 8 starts today as well. So this is the Vault-Tec themed one, Better Life Underground. We've been hearing bits and pieces about this for a while. I will link up here, as per usual, the video with all the rewards in it that I did over the weekend. Definitely worth checking out. There's some fun stuff in there. Probably not the most exciting scoreboard ever, but as I said in that video, there's quite a few things on there I think that we'll end up using more often than you might think, which still doesn't make it exciting, but makes it better than it might on the surface appear, I think. That's my hunch about it anyway. But yeah, do check that one out if you haven't already. However, as usual setup, 100 ranks, work your way through, etc, etc, etc. For those who are doing this for the first time, of course, Season Pass is always free, so just jump in and play, and it's going to be right there. There is one big improvement, however, that is coming with this that wasn't here before, and that's rank purchasing improvements. So if you so desire, you can spend atoms on buying rank ups and progress through the scoreboard faster. I know most people generally do that at the end of the season if their deadline is looming and they might not hit rank 100. You can now do this much more efficiently and with more control, where previously you had to just select each rank individually. Now you can select the rank you want to hit rank up to, so your destination rank, which might be 100 if you're running towards the end of the season, or maybe you want to do it earlier in the season, I don't know. And it will highlight the ones you want to do. You can hit that auto rank up button, which is somewhere at the bottom of the menu now, the scoreboard menu, and it'll withdraw your atom cost and rank you straight up to there, giving you the rewards, of course. So much swifter and less hassle for those who do want to do this. So dead simple really, and a nice little addition. There's also a whole load of new radio plays, as per usual with the seasons that are dropping in. You'll be able to hear those on the pirate radio station by the old Pip-Boy, so if you want to check that out, should be good fun, but there's quite a lot of effort into these things, so always fun. And we've got some improvements further down that relate to pirate radio as well, that I'm sure a few of you will be quite happy to hear, particularly those who like hanging out in their camps. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So, Fallout Worlds improvements. So, there's a few changes coming here. Obviously, Bethesda have been listening to the feedback, the biggest complaint being that lack of progression in Fallout Worlds. And the first change here is a step in the right direction on that, but just a small one, unfortunately. I mean, it'd be nice to see much more happening, but this is a start. So, in response to community feedback, we've implemented the ability for you to continue your season journey in Fallout Worlds. Going forward, you will now be able to earn score from non-repeatable daily and weekly challenges that you complete while playing in public and custom worlds. So that's all of them except the pre-rank 100 earn XP one, and the post-rank 100 ones, I suppose, as well. There's another version of it, I think. But yeah, basically, as long as it's not a repeatable one, you'll be able to earn score from it. The major reason for that being, the repeatable ones are XP tied, and there are ways to set up particularly custom worlds that you'll be able to earn your XP much, much faster. So you have the danger of the pay-to-win side of things, as custom worlds are Fallout First only. And obviously, Bethesda want to avoid that. Not perfect, and there's a tough balance to strike there, but if all you want to do is grab a few ranks, why not do it in a public world or a custom world? It'd be a little bit different if nothing else. And obviously, I think we can expect to see further updates and improvements to this system as time goes forward. But this is where they're starting for now. Along with this, we have a whole load of new settings added to custom worlds as well. So, whole list here, and some of them are pretty cool. A lot of them affect things like PvP worlds, if you're setting those up in custom worlds. Some of them will affect the public worlds as well, the Bethesda-designed ones. We'll get to those. So the new ones are carry weight. You can now choose how much the maximum limit of carry weight a player has is. So you can either increase it or reduce it, including reducing it all down to 0 if you so desire, which I guess means you'd have to run around naked punching stuff. But if that's the way you want to set up your public world, your custom world rather, do apologise, you can do that if you so desire. There's also frequent confetti. So previously we've had the bloody mess type dismemberment setting on there. Now, instead of using bloody mess, you can use the confetti one as per lunchboxes, and they'll burst into confetti instead. So you can choose how often that happens. Perk effects. This one's looking more towards the PvP side of things, although you can do it in general if you like as well, and make your game either harder or easier, mostly harder. You can disable perks if you would like, so players can't use regular perks or legendary perks or both, in order to make the game obviously that bit more challenging. It also levels the playing field more if you're playing a kind of your own homebrew battle royale setup in a private world as well. So, in a custom world, sorry. Then, yeah, you've got that option to make it a little bit more of a more true battle royale experience by having a level playing field, which is quite a cool ability if you're into that. In a related note, they've also added the ability to turn off VATS targeting for either other players or everybody, or you can leave it as standard, whichever you like, again in your custom worlds. So again, particularly for those PvP games, you can make that a little bit more intense and take that aimbot element out. So, relaxed building restrictions. This one will also apply to the Happy Builder public world when that rolls around, the Bethesda designed one, but you can turn it on in your own custom worlds as well. Let's get the name right here. That basically means that you can reduce the building restrictions even further, basically down to almost nil, so that you can have things like intersection. So remember the good old rug glitch in Fallout 4 where you could push one wall right into another? Well, actually walls were a bad example because it didn't work with them, but it will work with walls in these custom worlds if you've got your collision turned all the way down. So, when in a Fallout world, you will now see a new placement mode option that can be toggled while building in a workshop or camp, and adjusting it will allow you to place camp objects even if they intersect. So there you go. Simple button press and you can now put your items anywhere you like, even inside solid objects, which is great. So there's one more change, and that is that the weather effect from the Mothman Equinox seasonal event that we checked out just before Christmas, and will actually be returning in June, I believe, at the end of June for the summer solstice. Not sure why an equinox event happens at the solstices, but you know. But the weather effect that you get during that event, you can actually now turn on in your custom worlds as well. So one last thing on this, and that is that the high-risk public world, which is the PvP one that Bethesda set up, now has perk card effects, legendary perk card effects, and VATS disabled entirely in that world for that PvP experience. Again, leveling that playing field if you want to jump in. Good luck. Okay, so on to the additional changes and improvements. Top of the list, buildable pirate radios. This has been a community request since the pirate radio station was first added into the game, that you can place radios in your camp that will play pirate radio. Obviously we have the Appalachia radio and the classical one already. Now you'll be able to build one that plays pirate radio instead, which is very cool. Opens up those options, means you can listen to those radio plays and stuff whilst actually in your camp, which is always a win. So, as usual, just head into your build menu, head over to the appliances section, and there'll be a new radio in there for you to place. Next up is another requested community feature that is quite fun, and particularly if you've got an outfit that backpacks don't work very well for, don't look particularly good for, or you haven't got the right skin for, you can now make your backpack invisible. Specifically, you head into the settings menu via the map and find the option there. I believe it's in the game settings menu. Yeah, it looks to be. And you just say hide backpack, nice and easy, or show or hide, and it will be invisible. You will still be able to benefit from all of the perk buffs that you get with it, the extra carry weight, or slower food spoil times, or reduced chem weight, that sort of thing. You just won't be able to see the backpack, which is cool. Definitely a fan of that one. Invulnerable enemies. Now, we're not talking bugs here. This is a specific thing. For those rare occasions where creatures are meant to be invulnerable, for example, in Encrypted, the imposter sheep squatch is invulnerable until you activate all the siphons to bring down... Siphons, is that the right word? Pylons, that's the word I'm looking for. I'm thinking of Invaders From Beyond right now. Yes, the pylons, when you activate those, they bring down the imposter sheep squatch's shield. When that shield is up, there'll be a little shield icon next to the creature's name that tells you that it is currently invulnerable, and obviously that disappears when they become vulnerable again, just to make it that bit easier to tell the difference, which is cool. And from the tone of this, obviously, it's going to apply to other creatures as well. Not quite sure which ones those might be, maybe you guys can think of some that I can't, but nonetheless, you'll be able to tell the difference that little bit more easily just by looking at the character. So, a change for Minerva's inventory. We've added several holiday-themed item plans to Minerva's inventory that were previously only available in Nuclear Winter, so that you can purchase them with gold bullion. So, I'm guessing that's Christmas holiday-themed as opposed to any other holiday. It's a tiny bit non-specific when you put that, but it might be others as well. I know some Nuclear Winter players will be a little bit saddened to see these things appearing in Minerva's inventory for bullion, but for those of us who are not Nuclear Winter fans, the option has now available for us to grab those, which is very, very cool. I know I'm happy about that. So there's a load of camp stuff on that list as well, so I'm definitely happy to have increased camp objects that I can place in my camp and decorate more with, so definitely a winner for me. So, this is a big one. Over-budget camp limits. So, for those people out there who have been either looking to try and bypass the game's camp building limit, the maximum number of items you can have in your camp, or who have already done so, this is the bit you really need to be paying attention to, because you're about to get hoof where it hurts. Basically, the major reason for the camp budget limits, two big ones. One, they don't want to have to deal with too much information when you're blueprinting and trying to move stuff. The system's iffy enough as it is already, plus more data, more work for the servers, which again leads into the other half of it, which is more things you have in your camp, more problems for the servers, more FPS hits, so on, so on, and so on. And although the servers have improved quite a lot over the 3+ years that 76 has been running, clearly this is still having an impact on them, otherwise Bethesda wouldn't be going to the effort to put this change in. But if you are over budget for your camp, you've found a way to get around it, you are about to get hit hard. So bear this in mind. First up, fast travel will be disabled right across the board. You will get one fast travel when you log into the game that will allow you to fast travel to your camp so that you can reduce your camp below the correct amount of budget. If you don't, once you've used it, you're not going anywhere, and it will act as if you are over encumbered. Secondly, within your camp, object placement, rearranging, and storing will not work. You will not be able to do any of that. You will only be able to scrap things until you are below that budget. Thirdly, slot swapping. So if you want got multiple camps, you won't be able to change between them. You will have to stay on the one that's over budget until you reduce its budget to the level it's supposed to be at. Thirdly, you won't be able to have your camp appear on the map. The map marker will not appear. Doesn't matter if your vendor's switched on, doesn't matter if you've got stuff in there, nobody's going to know where your camp is until you bring it back under budget again. And last but not least, and this is another big one, furniture and activator interactions, including shelter entrances, are also disabled. So you won't be sitting on sofas, you won't be able to get into your shelters, and you won't be able to activate your workbenches either until, again, you bring your budget back down under the limit. So if Bethesda are going this hard at people who are over camp limits, then they must have a reason for it, because this is a big one. So I'm assuming the impact on servers is a lot of it. There might be secondary reasons that I'm not aware of, that problems that are caused by camps being over budget as well. Maybe there's some exploits that they're not referring to here that people take advantage of beyond, obviously, just increasing beyond the budget. But yeah, clearly they want to put a stop to this, so bear that in mind if you are over budget. Obviously, for some people, it just happens accidentally. Sometimes the game goes a bit twiggy and weird, and you end up over budget. If you suddenly find you can't fast travel and things are going belly up, maybe go look at your camp budget, because that could be the problem. It also does mean I might have to pull one of mine down that goes a bit wibbly sometimes, so I might be having to demolish a camp that I really like before long. We'll see what happens, I guess. Either way, FYI. And last but not least for the major high-level changes, Stimpack adjustments. We have reduced the weight of Stimpaks and diluted Stimpaks by 25%. Yes, that's always great. I usually carry quite a few, so happy about that. Their prices, however, have also been reduced by 25%. Less happy about that, because I like to make a good portion of my caps by flogging excess Stimpaks, so yeah. You will now get fewer caps for them, but you'll also have to spend fewer caps as well, so there's that, I suppose. Additionally, we've increased the number of Stimpaks and diluted Stimpaks that will appear in medical vending machines. I don't think I have ever used one of those, you know. in 3+ years. I'm curious to know if any of you guys have actually used those medical vending machines, or the other ones. That's another type as well, ammo maybe? I can't even remember, it shows you how often I use them, but I'm interested to know if you guys ever do. Let me know, I am very curious about that. So, that's the big high-level changes that are happening. Next up, we have bug fixes, and let's have a little scroll, shall we? Scroll, scroll, scroll. It goes on and it goes on. It is long, this. So, as per usual, as I said before, I will drop the link down below if you want to check out the patch notes and go through and see if there's any particular bugbeggars of yours that are getting squished on this one. Do check it out, it's well worth a look. For now, I will go through this list and just pick out some of the ones that catch my eye as being most interesting in order to keep this video under about an hour and a half long. So, strap in, here we go. Firing a railway rifle now correctly causes it to emit steam from the barrel. Whole load of camp stuff. A lot of this stuff is UI, but some of it's quite interesting as well. Popcorn from the popcorn machine now correctly reduces hunger and thirst gains by 25%, as opposed to just feeding you, I think. Build items in the build menu's new tab now remain visible after logging out and back in, and after relaunching the game client. So basically things are going to stick around in your new tab for a bit longer than they were previously doing. Not sure how long that actually is, but should make the new stuff easier to find. Fixed an issue that could prevent certain camp objects from appearing in the new tab at all. Scrapping or storing a camp object now correctly removes the grey highlight from around that object. Yeah, that used to happen on occasion. The thing would still be somewhat visible, sort of its ghost was still visible. Wasn't really a problem. If you just switch between edit mode and build mode, it went away, but yeah, now it shouldn't do that at all anymore. Slightly increased crafting requirements for several camp items, such as crops, which previously returned the same amount of crafting materials when they were scrapped as they cost to build. Such brings a few items like crops into line with other things in the game. Collectron stations. Collectron plans that were purchased using gold bullion, like the Nuka-Cola one or the Red Rocket one, i.e. from previous seasons, now correctly grant access to their unique collect options in the Collectron Station terminal. So that would be Nuka-Cola, and I'm not sure what the Red Rocket one was. But if you wanted to collect Nuka-Cola and you weren't able to, if you've bought your Collectron for bullion rather than getting it directly from the season, you should now be able to do so, which is cool. They've adjusted the wire attach point for Enclave turrets, so players can now correctly run wires from one Enclave turret to another. So presumably there was a clipping issue in the past, the turret got in the way. Now it shouldn't do that anymore. The Pepper Shaker is now properly aligned when assigned to wall-mounted weapon displays. Didn't even know you could do that, that's cool. Souvenir teddy bear variants now face the correct direction when assigned to a display. Fashionac mask display is now set to a build limit of 30 of them, no more than that in your camp. I don't know if that'll affect the camp budget thing that we were talking about earlier, so it might be something to keep an eye out on if you've got a lot of Fashionac mask displays. Same for a couple of other things that are being changed here. They've addressed an exploit that allowed duplication of crops. Okay. Flag objects now have a build limit of 10. So if you've got more than 10 flags, again, watch out, you might be out of budget. West Virginia slot machine now has a build limit of 5. Okay. And they fixed a visual issue that could cause incorrect error messages to appear when attempting to place a camp object using the modify menu. So presumably that means if you've placed something and you're then moving it afterwards, sometimes it would say you couldn't place it when in fact you could. That shouldn't be a problem anymore. And that doesn't solve every problem we have had with it saying you can place something when you can't, for example. That's a bugbear I think for most of us to do a lot of building. So it doesn't affect that, but the reverse, wherein it says you can't place something when in fact you should be able to, at least that should be fixed now. I removed the railing at the top of the Guild of Antiquities stairs with posts, which could clip into other objects when built indoors. So this is from a previous season where they gave us different textures for the staircases that have posts, the one that actually do sit up against the wall as opposed to in the middle, they have the big frame around them. The Guild of Antiquities one is the one that has kind of a light wooden texture to it, and it had a little railing around the upper edge of it, which to my eye always looked like a heck of a trip hazard. You know, you're walking towards your stairs, whoop, straight down you go. But yeah, more than anything, it clipped through some walls and things when you were building around the top of it. They've removed that wire from the top, so it won't do that anymore, because it's not there. And no feeling like you're going to fall down the stairs every 5 minutes. Not that that's actually a problem, but you know. So yeah, definitely pleased to see that, because that thing always baffled me. The Wildwood Den can now be sunk into terrain more easily, and in cases where the terrain isn't perfectly flat, it will appear closer to the ground and more natural than before. Great, that's a nice prefab, and having that sink and have the height adjustable a bit more easily is definitely a win for that. Anything you can have more control over, I think we're in favour of. Camps. And upper level flooring pieces no longer clip into Enclave camp walls. So I'm guessing that's addressing a flickering issue more than anything else, but that's cool too. So a couple of fixes here for challenges, not massively exciting, but for those who are interested, you can check those out. Combat. Now this is where it gets really interesting. I know a lot of people were looking forward to the laser and energy weapon changes. Here they are. Elemental resistances, so first and foremost, adjusted the calculation for energy and elemental damages to be in line with physical damage calculation. As a result, energy and elemental damage have been increased overall. So laser weapons, plasma weapons, flamers, anything like that that does a form of energy or elemental damage. There are a number of new weapons that do cold damage and stuff like that as well. Those should now correctly calculate the damage they do, and they should be doing more damage as a result. So I know a lot of people were looking forward to this one. Getting to use laser rifles and have them actually be effective will be fun. Hopefully that's the way some of this is going to work out. They're not the prettiest weapons in the game, but, you know, they're very, very Fallout laser rifles. They've got a lot of history in the game, and they're kind of fun. So having them be useful again would definitely be great. And, of course, those who are already using things like Gatling lasers and the like should see a little buff, which is very nice. As I understand it, and this is second-hand information, so maybe don't treat as gospel, but as I understand it, single-shot weapons will be affected more greatly than rapid-fire weapons. So, something of a sliding scale for how much this will have an effect, but something to bear in mind for when you jump into the game and try those out. So your sniper-type weapons are going to get a bigger buff than your Gatling-type weapons. But, nonetheless, everything should get at least a small buff anyway, which is cool. And that also makes sense because Gatling lasers and the like are probably reasonably effective as it is, which is why you see a lot of people using them, me included. So, enemy health. They've addressed an instance where rubber banding was a problem with enemy health, and it was occurring when using a high rate of fire weapon under poor network conditions. Shouldn't be a problem anymore. It's only one set of circumstances that it pops up in, but still, there's one less problem with rubber banding enemy health, and that's always welcome. Armor penetration is now correctly factored into floating damage numbers that appear when attacking enemies, if you happen to have that switched on. And you can now use VATS to target and hit airborne grenades. Assuming you're quick enough, anyway. Yeah, I've kind of gotten a feeling that I'm going to see more of my grenades blowing up in my face now. Yikes. So, a couple of fixes to daily ops that are also good as well. Bosses have addressed an issue that could cause daily ops bosses to flee from the player. So, particularly the cultist boss and the mole miner one were the two big ones, but a couple of the others did it from time to time as well. They would occasionally run away from you, which made really, really hard to hit that timer, particularly if you were soloing, because you spend your whole time running away from them, and you often can't hit them very effectively. So, location obviously affected just how much of a big deal that was, but definitely nice to have that one fixed. Another good one for me as well. Fusion cores for Ultrasight Gatling Laser now appear in the contextual ammo rewards granted after completing a daily op. Now, I thought they already did. So maybe this is an intermittent thing that they're fixing, but nonetheless, you should have a better idea of what cores you're getting. Or maybe it just means you'll be getting more when you're using an Ultrasight Gatling Laser. I could be misremembering here. So either way, definitely a good fix for those of us who like to use that. So we've got some fixes to enemies here. Not quite sure why these have asterisks beside them. I can't see anything on here that would indicate an answer to that question, so we're just going to have to roll with it as is. Corpses. Opening the quick loot menu by hovering over the crosshairs over a dismembered enemy corpse no longer causes that enemy's limbs or clothing to reappear. Cool. Corrected an issue that would allow human enemies to attempt to enter sets of pre-placed power armor. Scorched Mothmen now correctly take bonus damage from weapons with the Zealot's legendary attribute. And after being crippled, wild mongrels now continue their attempts to attack the player instead of preferring to stare at them ominously. Okay, so just little things, but still cool nonetheless. A whole bunch of fixes to events here and quests. So, Colossal Problem, this is a big one. It will no longer proc Colossal Problem or cause that event to pop up when you nuke the Cranberry Bog. So, if you'd previously nuked the Savage Divide to get a cost problem to come up, and you nuked the Scorched Beast Queen afterwards, both events would spawn. That no longer will happen. It was a bug, not meant to happen. I know a lot of people like to do it so they could get 2 big endgame events for the price of 1 nuke. That wasn't part of the plan, and it's no longer available. So we kind of knew this one was coming. This was mentioned quite a while ago by Bethesda, so here it is. Free range. Players can now earn the correct rewards after completing free range. I didn't realise that players were not earning correct rewards, but that's good as well. Load bearing. I've run into this one a few times recently. Ultracite ore that spawns during this event is now correctly mineable. That's handy. A bit more of an additional source for ultracite ore is helpful for those running ultracite weaponry. A little change to One Violent Night, and they fixed an issue that could cause tea time to prevent other public events from starting. That's good as well. So, Fallout Worlds. There's a whole bunch of fixes here for Fallout Worlds, both custom and for the public ones. I'm going to skip over this one so you can either pause and have a look yourselves or check it out by the link in the description. But I suspect most people are not that bothered, so we'll skip on from this one. Items. So there's a whole load of item changes here. See if we've got anything particularly interesting. Contextual ammo system now drops 45 and cannonballs in amounts more consistent with other ammo types. Not sure if that's an increase or a decrease, possibly both given the phrasing. Several exploits fixed as well. Fireman and Captain Cosmos helmets now correctly prevent negative effects from airborne hazards. Being melee attacked by another player while wearing burning, electrified, frozen or toxic legendary power armor no longer triggers PvP. So I'm guessing that was bypassing the pacifist mode, and that should no longer be a problem, which is cool. Gatling weapons no longer reset their wind-up times if the player attempts to fire immediately after they stop aiming down sights. So some of the little issues with Gatling weapons fixed there. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that manifests. I don't think I've actually noticed this particular issue, but for those who have, always a good thing. It's the ADSing too quickly after you start firing, or stuff like that, stuff that I'd like to see fixed. Also, the issues with Gatling lasers and ultrasight Gatling lasers not using their ammo correctly. I'd like to see that fixed as well, but no sign of that, sadly, on this list. Guns that use cores as ammo, like Gatling plasma, Gatling lasers, no longer spawn with the quad legendary attribute. So those of you who've got quad Gatling plasma or Gatling laser, it's now legacy. So put it in your stash and leave it there. That's what you should be doing. Range weapons. Alien blaster rounds now drop from all contextual ammo sources for those who want to use an alien blaster. I presume this will apply to the other alien weapons we're going to get. Well, the alien disintegrator that we're going to be getting from Invaders From Beyond as well. Thrown explosives. They now correctly can be thrown while sprinting, which is cool. I wonder if that means you'll go a bit further. Might have to try that one out. Plague Walker mutations had a little fix. Whole bunch of client stability and server stability fixes, which are always welcome. Some adjustments to perk cards. Looting Brahmin and chickens no longer causes the fanfare for Cap Collector to appear. Okay. Automatic fire and critical hits now properly work in VATS with the Commando perk card equipped. Wonderful. Daytime perk effects now function properly in instanced environments. Friendly fire. 3 fixes to this one. Updated the description to clarify that it doesn't affect grenades. The Hellstorm missile launcher's napalm payload now correctly affected by friendly fire. And turrets that are owned by NPCs can no longer be healed by friendly fire. So diseases that now have fixed durations are no longer affected by the region they contracted in. Never even knew that was a thing. That's interesting. And fast travel should no longer mess with the timer either. A couple of UI fixes. Fix an issue that could cause the controls to become unresponsive after dying at the end of an event, which could prevent the player from respawning. Cool, that's definitely helpful. That would be annoying. Fix an issue that could prevent players from scrolling down the Pip-Boys Collections tab on the Start menu. And the social menu now opens correctly after using the social menu hotkey from the main menu. Okay, didn't know that was an issue either, but good to know that's fixed. Should make your grouping up with people a bit easier. And last couple of things, Mr. Fuzzy Terminal now correctly dispenses rewards after turning in tokens to redeem the Super Comic Book option. Cool. And they address an exploit that will enable players to repeatedly disarm pre-placed traps, presumably as an XP farm. So there we go, a very, very long list of bug fixes and a number of very cool updates. Particularly looking forward to jumping into Invaders From Beyond and trying that out. Definitely looking forward to trying out some of the new weapons as well and the new camp objects. There's some fun stuff in there, so it should be fun. Also, the drop rates are much better than Fast Act, as I mentioned, so that's always a win. And yeah, a couple of other good changes that are quite cool. What else did particularly stand out to me there? Yeah, a few fixes for camps and stuff. Definitely welcome. And invisible backpacks. And the changes, of course, to the laser weaponry and energy weaponry is also welcome as well. And definitely a big hit for those who are over camp budget. I'm guessing this must be more of a problem we realise, because Bethesda are going hard at camps that are over budget. So yeah, watch out for that one. If you can't fast travel after you've travelled back to your camp, or if you only get the one, despite being over-encumbered, not being over-encumbered rather, or you can't operate things at your camp, maybe check that budget out, because you might be over the limit, and it can happen accidentally, which is the one drawback with that, so it's a bit of an FYI. But yeah, clearly it was a problem, I guess. But yeah, quite an interesting update in some ways. There's some surprising changes here, stuff that I wasn't expecting, as well as a whole bunch of stuff I'm looking forward to. Let me know what you're looking forward to the most in this update as well. Massive fist bumps to everybody who has made it this far, because it's been a long old session. These patch notes videos usually are. As per usual, as I say, the link's down in the description if you want to check the patch notes out for yourself and go back through them, anything like that. Catch the stuff that I've skipped over, because, you know, we'd be here all day. So yeah, do hope you found it useful and informative. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes. I very much appreciate it. Down below the video, as always, social media links, so you can catch up with me on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and the merch store as well if you're interested in supporting the channel that way. And you've got channel memberships on that blue join button as well. I very, very much appreciate that support. Massive thank you to everyone who's done that. Do join us for live streams as well. We're going to jump into Fallout 76 a bit later on this evening and check out this new update. And we are continuing playing Metro as well, which is really, really cool. We're playing the first game at the moment on stream as well, and having fun with that. Hopefully I fixed my issues after last night. We will see. But yeah, good fun game, so do hope you'll join us for those. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.